Welcome to another podcast of Southern Dirt Motorsports. We're here at the Northville Vineyard today. I am Randall Davis, and my special guest here will be Doug Carr. Helping me as co-host of this is Mike Luna and Gary Lowrance. And before we get started with this podcast, I'd like to dedicate this podcast to Jimmy Puck Thomas and Dave Bilberry. They both passed away just a short while ago, last week I think it was. So I would like to dedicate to this. And Doug knows a little bit about Dave Bilberry before we actually get started on his story. If Doug would be kind enough to share that with us, please do so.
I
Doug.
certainly will. I was racing at Wartburg, and Dave was racing up there also. And I was coming back from the races up there last one Sunday morning, about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was coming through Catoosa Wildlife Reserve. Nothing, nowhere. And a wheel come out from my trailer. Just sheared the bolts right off of it. And I was probably running 80 miles an hour.
You shouldn't have been doing that.
Yeah, that's true. The racing hadn't wore off yet. But I made it to the check-in station. I pulled over, and my wife was with me, and Boyd helped me. And I was just going to unload the race car and drive it to Croston, and leave the trailer. Well, we standing there trying to figure out what we was going to do, and all of a sudden we see lights coming. This van coming 80 miles an hour, just like me, and boy, he just locks it down. It's day. Well, he pulls over and he gets his generator out, and he gets his lights out, and he sets everything up there. And I had some big block head studs in the toolbox. It was the same size as the lug nuts. We drove them out and took a lug nut off the race car off each wheel, put on enough to get me home.
Now, it would take a racer to think like that.
Yeah. But I asked Dave, I said, "Owe you anything?" He said, "No, you don't owe me anything." He said, "I think we're just going to hang out here for a while." So we left and went on. But Dave was always, if I'd buy tires from him, I'd go up there and I'd buy 2 and he'd give me 4. He was that type of person, and I'm really gonna miss Dave.
Well, both Jimmy and Dave were great people, and great people to know, great people just to be around and have as someone you could call friends. And when they were your friends, they was true friends. And that's the kind of people I really like to associate with, have tried to associate with through life, and it's served me well. So Doug, if you will, now I know before you got into race cars, you had another way of making a living. And if you would, before we get started in your racing career, what was that? What did you do?
Well, actually, I went to work for White County Highway Department in August of 1980, and I actually started in July racing. And I'm still working with the county. I've been there 44 years, and that's pretty much how I supported my habit.
Okay, now what events? We always have something that happened that got us into a race car to start with. What got old Doug into a race car?
I went to a race at Crossville. Doug Conley was driving a car for Paul Young, and we went up there to watch. I'd never even heard of racing. And I went up there, I remember it just like it was yesterday. I was sitting in the stand, and Lynn Sliger come out in a 55 Chevrolet and went the full length straight away and spun that thing out in the corner. I thought, well, what's this?
You could do that.
Yeah, anybody do that. He told me later why he done that, but I was hooked. I was about 7 years old, and from that time on, all I ever wanted to do was drive a race car. That's it.
Once you smell that, hear that, feel that, it never leaves.
It never leaves. Never leaves.
I don't know how, I think death is the only way that takes you away from it.
I think so.
Now, where did you, I guess I ought to ask, what type car did you first race? What level, I guess?
Well, it was a street stock. I built a 55 Chevrolet, because back then I thought, if you had a race car, it had to be a 55 Chevrolet.
And that was almost true.
And I built it, and I run it down to Sparta. I remember the first night that I went, I was sitting at the flag stand waiting for him to go, and my right foot was shaking like a rabbit. I'm like, man, maybe this wasn't too smart. But after they threw the green flag, last time that foot ever shook.
It goes away. It's amazing the first time you sit in a race car of how much different that track looks
Yeah,
than it looked
yeah.
when you were in the bleachers or in the pits one. Gotta ask you this, but how'd you do that first race?
Well, I think it was mid-season championship. Mike Selby won. His brother Pat was second, and I think I finished third.
Well, that was a lot better
Well,
start than I had.
I thought it was gonna be easy after that. And I found out right quick it wasn't.
What different tracks did you race at throughout your career, if you can remember all of them?
I raced Sparta, McMinnville, Buffalo Valley, Atomic, Wartburg. Never did go to Winchester, Duck River.
Spring City.
In Spring City, yeah. Can't hardly forget Spring City.
Now, probably, most of us had one or two favorites, maybe not one favorite, but which was maybe your favorite track to race at? Or maybe which one was the best track to you?
The best track for me was Tennessee Motor Speedway.
And where is that now?
It was in Baxter. It's no longer there. But that was by far. And I run pretty good at Atomic.
Baxter was a good, fast race
Oh,
track.
yeah. I remember the first time I went around that track, I was in a wrecker. I was in my tow truck, and I went around through there, and I thought, man,
This thing's got some straightaways.
this has got some speed to it.
I think Mike Luna used to like to race
Yeah, I
at that
loved
track.
it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
And, about everybody that I've ever talked, I never got to race on that track myself, but everyone that I've talked to about it just really loved that track.
Yeah,
If they love speed, they love that track because you could carry, as Mike Luna can attest to, you could really carry some speed into the turns.
And whenever there was a wreck, they was usually a
Oh,
wreck.
yeah, it was a big
It
one.
looked like Daytona or Talladega.
One good thing about it, I've heard, you didn't have to worry about fixing a car, you just replaced it if you wrecked it.
Pretty much. Them concrete walls didn't forgive you, two of them.
I remember Junior Brown turned over, like rolled end over end and rolled a couple times and tire up in the air. It looked just like Randy LaJoy at Daytona when he
Yeah.
turned over.
You know, Richie Summers had a wreck over
Yeah,
there
he
that
did.
night. Same deal. It just end over end. It looked like something you'd see at Daytona or Talladega.
Doug, did you work on your own cars, or did you have help, or did you build most of them, or
when
did
I
you
first
buy?
started, me and every kid in the neighborhood, we about have to take 2 trucks. But of course, as years go by, people get other interests and stuff like that. And it got down to where it was just me. I mean, Arvo Pittman built me my last good race car. And but other than that, I was my own engine builder. Everything that was done to the car, I done.
There was a lot of us back then that did that,
Mhm.
and it was, back then we truly had some fun
Yeah.
doing it.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only reason you did do it. You just
Yeah.
loved doing it. Then you'd get addicted to it. I
Back,
guess
back at that time, there wasn't that much money around, they didn't have a sponsor. So you pretty much just had to, on your own, to try to build what you had and.
Yeah, I'd drag old cars in behind my house and use them for parts, get A-frames and,
Doug lived in town when I was younger, and I was so addicted to the racing part and the race cars. I'd try my best to go by and see old Doug, just to look at his car. I just like being around the cars and the people that had them too.
yeah, I loved it. I mean,
I'm sure Doug did this too. We would sit around and try to dream up things that would maybe work a little bit better or try something we hadn't tried before.
oh yeah.
Some of it made sense, some of it right after we did it, wondered why we did it to start with.
I remember running an old Monte Carlo at Spring City, and you wasn't allowed to put left side waste bias in. So, being an engineer, I made the roll bars on the left side were 2-inch pipe, and on the right side they were 1.5 inch.
A hot rodder will, they might not have had a degree hanging on the wall, but they were all pretty good engineers
Yeah.
back in the day, because you couldn't buy things, you had to make it.
Yeah,
And, now you can buy cars and then buy things to keep them repaired with till you wipe them completely out.
I've heard Gary tell a story that they went and measured racetracks in Gary, where it's hard to get gears and just to get the perfect gear.
It was back when of course, when we were running on flathead Fords, they didn't have no horsepower. You had to be just right on it to get that thing to run. And we measured the racetrack and try to calculate where you're gonna run at and how far it was around it. We had a little old paper thing, they called it a computer, and you could get your gear ratio and tar size and all that.
Right.
We all had one. You
I
had one.
still got one of them. I still have.
They
one.
called that a computer back then now.
Yeah, that was the forerunner of what we've got now.
But it would give you you put the tar size in and all, and you could come up close with a gear ratio.
Right. It would actually give you the formula for figuring out the exact gear size off the circumference of it.
Yeah,
So-
and then it tell you the RPMs you're gonna be turning, and it was close.
Well, I still have mine today, and I still use it in my off-road Jeeps today to get the right gears. It still works today. But I guess I need to ask too, most of us has had a pretty bad crash in our career. Can you remember where your worst one was, or the one that cost you the most, or maybe hurt you?
probably Spring City. I had a couple of good wrecks over there. I was leading the race over there, and the track was real tacky. And I was holding my groove good, you know, but I come off fourth turn over there, and I was about a half a groove higher than what I had been running. And man, all of a sudden, that's what taught me that if something's coming at you in slow motion, you need to hang on. Because I hit that wall a ton. And it actually bucked the floorboard of the car down against the drive
That was
shaft.
a hard lick.
And all they had was tractors for wreckers, and they came out there with that tractor, you know, and I'm sitting there, I can see the fan turning on, but I can't hear it running. They're talking to me, and I can't hear them. And finally, when I come to myself, the guy standing in front of the car, and first thing I asked him is, how bad's the car? You know.
That's your first concern.
Yeah, and he said, well, you're done. So they brought the ambulance out, and I told them, I said, well, I'll just walk out. And they said, no, we got the ambulance out here. You should go ahead and take it on in. And I rode up in the pits and with them in the ambulance, and they drove up behind my truck and trailer. And I got out, and I took that last step off that ambulance. I just went right to the ground.
You're talking about the Ford tractors. They had a Ford tractor that had a hook on it and had one on each end of the track. And the guy that's the only thing he tell you what in the
Yeah.
pit meeting said, do not hit my tractor.
Yeah, stay off the track.
Stay off the tractor.
Everybody had something that he had to take care of
Yeah.
back then.
But I spent 3 days in Erlanger on account of that. And
Did they life flight you down?
no, they took me by ambulance. But you know, I come home, first thing I done, went and looked at the car. And I had to take a torch, cut the wheels off the right side. It was mangled. And I fixed it. And you know, it went on there a couple of weeks, and my buddy kept coming and asking me, said, we going racing? I said, we won't go tonight, we won't go tonight. You know, I wasn't sure I wanted to do it. And finally one Saturday evening, I told my wife, I said, me and you are gonna take this car over there, and I'm either gonna still be racing, or I'm done. So I took the car over there, and I went out there, and Paul Murphy was the guy on the track at that time, and well, his son-in-law had a car, and man, he come up and hit me just as hard as he could in the driver's side door. And I'm like, man, if that's all you got, we're good to go. And from then on, I just, you know.
Well, it's something that gets within us. We worry more about, I guess, about our equipment than we do ourselves.
Yeah.
And we always tell ourselves that we're going to be okay, and most of the time we are. It really takes a fluke for somebody to get killed. All I'm sure you were like me, you did see some guys lose their life doing what we love doing so much. So it is a dangerous sport. There is an element of danger to it. I don't know where that's part of the appeal of it.
I think it is. I think it's
what it is, but
that right on the edge thing, you know.
it takes a different kind of person really to what we do.
Yeah, and if somebody's never raced, they can't understand it.
It's hard to tell someone why you do it. It's hard to tell someone why you like doing it so much.
Mhm.
And it's always in the back of your mind, I guess, a little bit about getting hurt, but you never really dwell on it. Excuse me. Now, how many years did your racing career extend to, Doug? Or did, maybe you was like me, I never retired, I just didn't do it anymore.
I've just stopped, that's all. I've not quit.
Right,
I've
if you
stopped.
don't quit, there's always that possibility.
There's always that possibility.
You might do it again.
Now, you ask my wife, she says no, but
Actually, you got a race car, don't you?
yeah, I've got one. It's a piece of two laying around.
He restores.
And I see that smile, that possibility, that flame is still burning.
Well, yeah.
Do you still go to the races, Doug?
I try to stay away, Randall. I try to stay away. John Ross ended up that old race car I had, and I went to Crossville one night and watched him run it. And I never did. I never cared for Crossville. I never done any good up there. I always tore up a lot of stuff. But
It is a good racetrack.
yeah, it's a
real
good racetrack.
I love cross.
And it's been good to a lot. I enjoyed racing it. I didn't get to race up there a lot, but the times I did, I really did enjoy racing up there.
But I done it about a little over 30 years.
Are you involved in racing right now in any way?
No, I've got two grandsons that are just dying for me to build a car.
So
but
there's hope yet.
There's hope yet. But no, I'd like to get involved in it. In some form.
Racing is a good sport for a young person to get involved in, because if they really get involved in that, they'll stay out of trouble, because they don't have time for anything else, and once you get addicted to it, you actually don't think about anything else.
No, you don't.
It just becomes a way of.
I used to. I'd think the world would end if I didn't get to go to the races on the weekend.
You're a lot like I was in that respect. That's the way I was too. But when you stop doing it yourself, I think a lot of us do have a tendency to stay away, because if you go back, you start reliving, you start wanting to be back out there really, really bad. That smell gets there, that vibration gets there. It's something that goes on inside you that you can't get out of.
And you know, us old guys,
Yes.
they took the ingenuity out of it.
We're the encyclopedias of racing.
Right. We can't, now you don't have a driver for a car. The car drives the driver.
That's about right.
And
The car drives it. They say now the car drives itself.
yeah,
You just sit in the
yeah,
car.
yeah. And
When a half a pound of air pressure does something and you can feel it,
yeah,
that's better than me and you had.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
If we had 3 tires still had air in them.
Yeah, we do good.
What, you think that they'll ever get to where that 4-man can race again? Ever get the price down, or do you think it's just, if they could run a class that a 4-man could actually afford to race, it'd be a lot more.
I think the
cars.
only thing they could run that a poor person could afford to have fun would be like a truck class, or maybe those front wheel drives and stuff. But you upper class cars.
That's I think about that too. I think pickup trucks
Yeah.
right now would be would be an ideal thing as where the common guy could get into their rear wheel drive.
Yeah.
They got a frame under them. Most of them do anyway. Some of them don't, but the ones that do.
And they're plentiful.
And they're plentiful now.
And really, that's the only thing left.
Now, before too long, Golden Mountain Speedway is going to open back up, and they're looking at a class called Crown Vics. Crown Victoria Fords, their rear drive.
They got a good frame on it.
Yeah, they got a good frame.
And there are lots of them out there, and they'll be affordable, pretty much so, for a guy if he wants to get into it. And I think as time goes, if you get a lot of cars out there, they can put on a good show, they put on a good show and people will really like to see them. I know it'll be a good starter class
Oh, yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
But anyway, that's one of the classes they're looking at running. I don't know, what some other tracks are doing, but, I think that class will go rather well.
I've always thought if you get a bunch of cars there and they all bunched up and run together, and no matter how fast they run, slow, fast, whatever, if they were bunched up, they put on a show.
If they're bunched up, they look.
Yeah.
They look like they're going
faster
fast
than maybe they
anyway.
are.
You know,
And,
back when I started, if you had a car run 60 mile an hour, you were doing good, but everybody's running 60. Then all of a
Right.
sudden, somebody comes along and can run 70.
Speed is, sort of relevant to irrelevancy anyway. Even going down the interstate, you could be running 80 mile an hour. If you're beside of somebody, you're actually sitting still in one respect. He's right there beside of you. Neither of you is going anywhere. It's just when you have to stop
Yeah.
that you know, slow down, that you know, something is taking place. Well, Doug, what does the racing future look like for you today?
I'm not done yet.
Good.
I'll just leave it at that.
I like,
Just resting for a
I'm
while.
just resting.
I like the way you sound, and the thought of those grand boys getting into it. It'll be something that you can cherish forever.
Yeah.
Well, Doug, I guess, as bad as I hate to, we need to wrap this session up. It's been great having
Oh,
you
it's
here
been,
today.
it's been a pleasure
great
for me.
talking to you. And for the Northfield Vineyard and the Mid-Lawman Channel 6 TV station, I thank you both for supporting us, for keeping us in business, and I can't thank the Northfield Vineyard too enough for allowing us to use their facilities. And folks, if you have a birthday party, a wedding, any kind of social venue, consider the Northfield Vineyard, because they've got something for everybody. The prices is something that you won't believe how affordable they are. So with that, thank you for watching. Like us and subscribe to us. It costs us nothing. If you subscribe, you'll get your notification of things that are going on in the racing world. So please do so. And with that, thank you for watching.